Okay, I had a weird dream. So here I go telling you about it. Actually I had three. The first one was a really weird one. Like there was this shack or something in the desert. It was more like this place that I used to go called the Alley Cat, which had like a downstairs hookah bar and an upstairs coffee shop. And like I don't know what I was doing there. I think I was like it was in the desert, by the way, not in the middle of a town. And I was stopping there on a journey, but I don't know where I was going or what I was doing. Oh, and it wasn't totally isolated. There was some shacks around it, and there was like a city not too far away, like the outskirts of like a suburb, I guess you could say. Uh, a couple of like small towns, satellite towns to a larger city. And then as I got to this, we'll call it a bar. It reminded me of Kenshi. I've been playing a lot of Kenshi previously, and so it reminded me of that. And then I went inside and I met this girl there who had, as soon as I got too close, well, like, she was sitting in the corner of this bar, and people were just like afraid of her. And like, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna sit kind of like in the middle. And as soon as I got close to the girl who was sitting in the corner, the entire world changed, like reality changed. And so I got this intuitive knowing that this girl was maybe not human, or like she was very powerful with abilities of some kind. And like, of course, like people show up and start attacking her, and so I start fighting them, and they're like, I guess they're in suits or uniforms of some kind, like black uniforms. And they're just like they have guns and nobody else has guns. And they're like remind me of FBI agents, but they're not. They're more like men in black. Anyway, they're chasing her around. She's like able to fight them by changing the world, and it's really weird. Like, and she doesn't really fight them, she just like make renders them ineffective by establishing obstacles. Or like she did this weird thing where she like waved the wall of the bar away and walked out of the wall, and I like followed her, and as soon as she got far enough away from the wall, it just goes back to normal. Everything goes back to normal. And like, it was crazy. And we talked a little bit, but she didn't seem like she was very good at social skills. She seemed like this was how people always treated her, kind of like dangerous, and she's like an outsider, outcast vibe. She basically was surprised that I fought with her, and she said thank you. And she's like, you don't even know me, like maybe I'm evil. And I was like, well, maybe I'm evil. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, it just happened. Like, we were in the same circumstance, it just happened. Like, okay. And then we were like gonna go our separate ways, but they found us again and they chased us, and they chased us all the way to this airport hangar. Like, really weird. This is why I say it had Kenshi vibes, because it was like, it reminded me of industrial dark ages, sort of, where there was like stuff like airplanes and guns, but there weren't very many of them. It felt like it was from an older era, and that the modern era had regressed and gone back. Very weird dream. Something was wrong with the sky. Like, it wasn't, I don't think we were on another planet, but something was wrong with the sky. And like, it just was out of, it was the wrong shape. It was out of sorts. And like like the moon was really big and it was out of sorts. So that's why I say Kenshi again, because that was the thing. It wasn't tidally locked, so it did move in the sky, but it was a mystery. I think there was this other situation. Now I thought this was her, but um it might have been a magical place, because after we parted ways, I was able to use this again. So there was like a wall that only let certain people through, and the girl, or maybe it was somebody else, or it was an internal knowing that this is actually like, I got a download randomly in the middle of the stream, like, this is a special gate. It was like, oh, you know what it is, like platform 9 3/4 from Harry Potter, but for aliens. I'm not even kidding. So only certain species could pass through this like fake airplane hangar thing, and it led to a spaceport. So it was like, yeah, it was like hidden alien craft and hangars, almost like in plain sight, like in a human building. It was really weird. It reminded me that made it seem even more like a Men in Black, or maybe another way of putting it is like a science fantasy. It felt like science fantasy in some way. So that dream was over. And then I got into this other dream, and this other dream was so weird. The next two dreams are just as weird. So I was in this room fighting. It was giving Matrix, but also super hot because I had another ability for this one. So in the last one, I didn't have an ability. But in this one, I suddenly had time control abilities, which I thought was, interesting. And there's just a lot of shooting and a lot of slowing down of time and a lot of like weirdness. And it was cool. I didn't really get the point, like what I was supposed to be doing. I think it was I think it was bad. People ended up making fun of me for my fighting style. And I remember that being like a thing like, oh, you're bad, you suck at fighting. And I was like, yeah. I remember ending up like unloading my entire gun on these enemies. There's only like a few of them. And I was like, I'm out. And then I turn around and there's like 20 more bad guys that just like end up streaming into the room. Kind of like a very Matrix moment of like, okay, now there's more. And I ended up fighting them in one-on-one, and people started getting mad at me. They're like, why are you in hand-to-hand combat with these guys? And it's like, because I'm out of bullets. It's super stupid. Okay, so there was that one. I wish I could describe the environment a little bit more because I can see it in my mind. This is always the problem, but like I can see this in my mind better than I can explain it. It was like a room, a really, 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 really wide room with medium or short like ceilings. They're not like tiny, like it wasn't like, oh, like a really short ceiling, but it was like, it didn't fit how wide the room was. So it was like maybe double height of a person. And then there was like something on the floor. It was really weird, like a maze a shape of a maze, but it was just tiles. It was small, like a couple inch tall, like tiles. And I don't think they did anything. It was just aesthetically very interesting, like how the tiles had a maze shape, but no real purpose as a maze. And then like, I'm so confused about this dream too, because it was much more of an action dream. It reminded me of not my flying dream. It reminded me a little bit of my TK dream, but it was totally different powers, totally different vibe environment. Allies were like not happy to have me, and the enemies were not very particularly challenging. I don't remember ever getting injured or shot, even though I should have been injured and shot because of how crazy this fight was. But like I said, the time slowing powers really like made this maybe too easy, because like I could just get away with murder, absolutely everything, which leads me into my last dream, which involves a murder. So this one was really disturbing. I had a dream about like being lost in the city, that kind of had a mixture. It was like highly, highly urbanized and very modern, potentially in the mountains and in the desert, but more like not like Colorado mountains and desert, maybe Arizona or Nevada. Oh, I don't know if that feels right. It feels cold, so maybe northern, maybe like the northernmost desert, kind of like just south of Idaho, like in Nevada or somewhere. But it felt really wintry, but there wasn't any snow. That's so specific. I don't know why I'm getting this. And then it was like maybe in the future, because it wasn't futuristic, but it wasn't like I've been to Nevada and there's nothing there. Like there isn't a huge city like this. It could have been Reno, but it wasn't how Reno is right now, because I've been to Reno recently and it didn't look like how Reno is. Although I will say Reno is growing like insane, and so it could be sooner than you think. There was a really big mall, actually more than one, but like there was this really odd one that was like an indoor mall, and then it was like also outdoor mall in the same thing, in the same complex. So like it was more like a mall with multiple quadrants, or maybe not quadrants because that implies 4, but there's like 3. And I remember I had this experience of like my mom trying to kill me, and like laughing about, I told her No, she didn't try to kill me. She tried to like, it was like an adoption dream. Like she tried to abandon me. No, it was, um, oh, no, I was struggling. And then there was the movie theater. There was this huge hidden underground castle, dungeon, not dungeon, like a great hall, and a knight, not even a knight, no, it was a chaplain. No, not a chaplain. It was what is the person that is assigned to the, not a squire. It's like a squire is to a knight, or is that a page to a knight, as this person is to like a prince. And so it starts with an R, a regent. So this regent took off his helmet, and this like red hair, but it was like samurai style. So strange. And he's really cool. He's really nice. He liked to flip his hair. He had gay vibes a little bit. He liked to do this flippy thing with his hair. But then there was this movie theater inside this dungeon, or inside this hall. Oh, they streamed, they transmitted dreams into people's head, and then we had to do this acting performance. And then after we did this, rehearsal, he comes out and he's like, now, kind of like in his gay voice, he's like, now, is there any reason you people didn't improv based on the prophecy that we gave you? And it was so bizarre. It was the weirdest thing. And like, you know what? It's giving Full Sail vibes for no apparent reason. Just because it was like this huge performance for a bunch of, I guess, students and parents and old people. There were like there's like 3 generations of family here. And what were we doing? Oh, and there was a commercial for DeBella, which was like a store inside of this mall that I was there. And that's where, the final altercation happened with the mom. And the mom like intended to kill the child, but the child survived and didn't care. And she's like, whoops. And she thought it was so funny. And the child turned on the mom and just stabbed her over and over and over again. So much, it was like so disturbing. There was so much blood everywhere. And she's like, it was crazy because like leading up, like he brought out the knife and she's like, oh, you're not gonna use that. And then boom, like there, like no time for her to get it out of her mouth, and just stab, and dead right there on the floor. And then it was so poorly planned. It was obviously a crime of passion. Someone like walks by, immediately finds, or like walks by and maybe pretends like they can't see the body. They had to have seen the body. And then a little girl walks by and screams when she sees the body. Oh, it was awful. Oh, it was so bad. What a weird nightmare right at the end. Ugh. What a weird one. What else happened? Nope, that was it. Those were like my 3 back-to-back dreams. I should have done a trigger warning. Sorry to end on such a negative note, but that was it. There was nothing else. It was a cool area, and I woke up and I was like, this has got to be a real place. Like this architecture, and it was so elaborate, and it was like 2-level mall, and like with this weird place in the basement. It was almost like a like an old French monastery, like almost like a monastic castle, if that makes any possible sense, in this basement of this very modern super mall. No idea. It doesn't make any sense to me. But I woke up and I Googled it. I was like, where is this place? What is this? I think I just blended everything in my brain together, including like the Elder Scrolls or something, because that's not a thing. So anyway, I hope I stop having creepy dreams, because that one, these dreams wake me up at like 6 a.m. These 6:30 a.m. These things wake me up. It's not a good dream. Gives me the chills. Anyway, yeah.